Now to that extraordinary rebuke of President Trump by his former Defense Secretary General James Mattis, blasting the president in writing, portraying him as a divisive force and a threat to the Constitution. Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz has more. And Martha, you spoke with Mattis right after this was published.
I did, Amy. After years of avoiding public criticism of Trump, the much revered Marine Corps general and former Secretary of Defense told me enough is enough. With National Guard taking positions on America's streets and national monuments, with the president's threats to dispatch active duty forces, and his photo op outside a D.C. church after peaceful protesters were violently removed, Jim Mattis, President Trump's former Secretary of Defense, told me enough is enough. In a blistering essay in The Atlantic, Mattis writing of the oath he took as a Marine, "Never did I dream that troops taking that same oath would be ordered under any circumstance to violate the constitutional rights of their fellow citizens, much less to provide a bizarre photo op for the elected commander-in-chief with military leadership standing alongside." The lifelong Marine saying, "Donald Trump is the first president in my lifetime who does not try to unite the American people, does not even pretend to try. Instead, he tries to divide us," calling Trump a threat to the Constitution. Mattis, who resigned over Trump's Syria policy, had been one of Trump's favorites.
Mad Dog Mattis, he's our best. They say he's the closest thing to General George Patton that we have.
But overnight, the president firing back at Mattis's latest comments, tweeting his primary strength was not military, but rather personal public relations. "I gave him a new life, things to do and battles to win, but he seldom brought home the bacon. Glad he is gone." It comes as the current Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, is defying Trump as well, saying he does not support calling up active duty troops, which would require invoking the Insurrection Act.
The option to use active duty forces in a law enforcement role should only be used as a matter of last resort and only in the most urgent and dire of situations. We are not in one of those situations now. I do not support invoking the Insurrection Act.
Esper's words were not welcomed at the White House, the press secretary making clear the president is still very much considering calling in active duty troops.
He has the sole authority to invoke the Insurrection Act, and if necessary, he will do so to protect American citizens.
The press secretary adding that if the president loses faith in Esper, we will learn about that in the future, not exactly a ringing endorsement. Now, as for those National Guard images from the streets, there has been some confusion. A lot of law enforcement can look like the National Guard because of what they're wearing, but if they are mostly special operations teams from various law enforcement agencies like the U.S. Marshal's Office seen in that image. TJ?
All right, Martha, good point to make. Thank you so much.